And salutations, I'm Gil.
And I'm Gil, and this is Strategic Prepper.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are on my property that is slowly being developed. And I want to thank you guys for joining us at what we're going to talk about today. One of you have asked a question about how long we can keep food past the due date.
It's an important question, yeah.
Yeah. So we've done some research. A lot of our information is coming from information put out by the USDA, information put out by Cornell University. Yeah, so we've got some really good information on that. So I do want to start out by talking about we're going to look at different types of food: frozen, canned, and packaged. Because things like dairy and all that, you really can't keep them like forever and ever.
Yeah, and that's why, right? It's common. Everyone had a dairy cow, and
right.
If you wanted it, it's kind of what you had to do.
Right. So, if you stay to the end, I've got this tool that I want to share with you that will help you in your food storage, food preservation, and all that. Okay. So we'll share that at the end of the video. Don't let me forget.
Okay.
All right. So first thing, freezer. How long's freezer good for? Why? I mean, have you ever heard of freezer burn? You take it out and it's like kind
stuff
of
gets it doesn't taste as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, quality.
So what do you do? You get like a pork roast, and it's been in there for 1.5 years in the freezer. 2 years stuck at the bottom. It's kind of not be the most.
I mean, right now, I'll throw it out. Right now, okay. Get rid of it. I'm going to store my another one.
But even right now, though, here's the thing: the bacteria that will harm the foods does not grow in the freezer. Okay, so according to the USDA, I've heard so many people, you can only freeze this for so long.
Oh, yeah.
3 months for this, 4 months for that, right? What they're talking about is freshness dates, right? I mean, if you had that pork roast and it was still healthful, if it was still healthful, it may not taste great. The coloration might
texture might be rough, and yeah.
Cut it up and throw it in a stew, especially for survival situations.
Yeah.
You don't want to throw away anything you don't have to throw away.
Yeah.
You know.
Especially in that example, a source of protein.
I know.
Yeah,
right?
you better. Yeah.
So that's the easy one. Freezer. As long as you've maintained it in the freezer, you can keep it as long. There's no shelf life. Okay, but you may have to do something to make it palatable.
Yeah. And real quick, freezer, I think it's overlooked a lot. What about EMP or what about power? They're all legitimate, so all legitimate complaints. But remember, there's different levels that we're talking about, right? And there's different types of events, whether that's earthquake, hurricanes, rolling blackouts in the summer, whether that's a failing and aging and failing a U.S. infrastructure that eventually stops working efficiently, and maybe you have power for a week and then no power for. Let me restart. This car went by. I didn't notice. So maybe you have power for a week and then no power for 3 weeks, and then right, and so that's not uncommon in a lot of the world. So just try to keep an open mind on that too with the freezer.
See, but if
don't overlook it as a tool.
Right. But if you're counting on a freezer,
don't count on it. Yeah.
But if that's part of your one of your preps, you should always have redundancy, right?
Yeah, solar and all that. Yeah.
Right.
You could definitely build. Yeah.
So frozen food may be part of your food system, and then you've got other canned foods and other things. But you should also have the redundancy on the power, like you were saying.
Yeah, and that's part of the plan on the property we're moving to is eventually, alternative power, and then, hey, let's get some deep freezers and diversify everything. And if I do any kind of deep chest freezers, they're going to have redundant power sources.
Right.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
For those of you guys are wondering, you do not need to throw out your old freezer food. So, freezer, as long as the freezer stays running, you can keep the food. All right. How about cans? I mean, how many cans do you have?
a lot of these, man. A lot of these.
I
They're
bet-
easy to get. So
let me ask you a different question. How long have you been building your can collection? I mean, you may have used the original ones, right? But you may not have. When did you first start building your supply?
Really building the can collection.
When you're in that apartment way back when, right?
2013, 14. I know I have some that are a few years past their expiration date. I know I have some that are a few years.
Which is really what I was getting at.
Yeah,
I've got quite a few.
I try to rotate through them, but I don't always make it.
So again, those expiration dates are freshness dates, not safety dates, and you may have as part of your preps. I mean, you look at those dates. I mean, gosh, you go buy a month's worth of canned food, and 12 months later you have them throw half of them away, right?
Yeah.
Or do something.
Yeah, it's like 2 years or something. It's pretty average.
That doesn't make any sense. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. So use them. And USDA. So sometimes things go bad in the cans. How do you know? What would you look for?
So, well, you start from the outside. You take the can and you're looking at the integrity of the can.
Okay.
Right? So the dents, stings, rust. The can is sucking in. The can is bulging out. Those would be indicators to me. Those would be indicators to me that we have a problem.
Right.
Especially the sucking and the bulging out. If I got a can, like say bulging, from what I understand, that's an indication that there is bacteria present and they're off gassing, and that's what causes the bulging.
Exactly right.
If they're bulging, I throw it out. I don't even open it. Get rid of it.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So the bulging cans, get rid of it. We're looking for dents or rust, right? Because those will weaken the containers, believe it or not. Even though you haven't punctured the can, somehow microbes can get in there.
One thing I've heard, I don't know if you found this out to be true or not, but one thing I've heard is pull top cans are not as good. From what I've seen, a lot of people claim that the regular cans that require a can opener do a better job of preserving the food. I don't know how true that is.
So
maybe just because it's easier to drop it and bust it open.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So here's what I found: the way they're sealed, they're just as good. But the ease in damaging those and breaking those seals is greater.
I like the pull tops.
So do I.
I obviously have can openers, but
SHDF, world goes down our infrastructure.
Easier,
oh my gosh, my electric can opener's broke.
Well,
and I don't have a manual can opener. Well, you pull top, boom. Felt like spam.
I know someone's going to say, use concrete. Yeah, you can use concrete.
You can use concrete, yes. There's more than one way to skin that cat.
But yeah, I like pull top.
Yes.
You hand it out to people, right? So that's a whole different subject. But if you're going to hand it out to people or give it to someone, it's got a pull top and it's easy.
Right. Yeah. So the pull top, it's a great question. The pull top is actually fine as long as you maintain the integrity of that can. So the thing is, it's that oxygen that feeds that bacteria. If you deny that environment in that can, deny that oxygen by having a good can structure, no dents, no rust, you're going to protect that can. So and you'll protect that food inside that can. The bulging, huge sign.
Oh yeah.
You still, even with all that, and you have an old can, you still have to open it up and give it the smell test. If you open it up and there's no dents, no rust, no bulging, and you open it up and it smells like death warmed over,
yeah.
What do you do with it?
Throw it away.
Throw it out.
Don't let your animals eat it either,
That's it.
because they'll probably get sick too.
Throw it out. Get rid of it.
Yep.
It's probably not good. So even with everything being good, you still have to actually do a test, because that stuff will be pretty rancid, and will curl your nose. And yeah, so cans.
Well, and even we got the final test too. If you want to be a little more careful, I'd say is if you're still not sure, man, take just a little bit of it. Put it, right? So you pass all the other tests, but you're let me just one last, take a bit of it, put it in your mouth, right? Chew it up. Any kind of unusual, obviously you taste something and it tastes rancid. and you spit it out,
Yep.
throw it away. But yeah, if you did everything else, it should be good.
Now, here's what the USDA says. This applies also for when you're canning your foods. As long as you're maintaining that seal and you can it properly. And
Yeah, it should last forever.
and if you've gone through that canning process, you've heated that food up, you've killed that bacteria, and you've sealed it up, and you still have that good seal, there is no real shelf life. And that really actually amazed me. I was always taught that even a couple of years after you toss it. But
Yeah, I
no,
always
they're
thought that.
on those cans and the jars when you do your own canning. Take the time to properly can. And here's the thing: when you're properly canning, and we can't say this enough, proper hygiene. There's things that you can do to protect your food to reduce the chance of contamination, and one of those is to make sure that you wash your hands with soap at least 20 seconds. Another is when you're preparing your food, do not mix raw food on the same
That's a big
surface with cooked food.
That's such a big one.
That's huge.
Yeah. And then chicken, right? Anything processed chicken's got to be kept separate. And raw. You don't cut up raw meat on your board.
Don't mix up the meats.
And then the vegetables and
right, and don't mix that.
Yeah, don't leave. So we talk about the freezer. Going back there real quick. What you don't want is the freezer coming up to temperature, getting warm, and then back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Right.
You don't leave meat out on the countertop either, and just let it get to room temperature, especially if it's uncooked and all that.
Aside from the actual storage, there's a lot of things, these type of things that we have control over that can help us protect our food so that it lasts. So it's not just proper freezing and proper canning, but it's also proper hygiene and proper handling of food will prevent that type of contamination that'll make people sick.
Yep.
So how about packaged food? So
Like
you got a package of
chips?
Lasagna, chips or cookies.
Yeah.
Cookies, right?
You got the dry goods, pasta and all that.
These dry goods and like I said, the pastas. How about those? They're all in a hermetically sealed, airtight.
I mean, I've
Why not?
definitely opened up like snacks
Oreos in the apocalypse.
past, of course, the Twinkies. Wherever the Twinkies. I've definitely opened up stuff in the some kind of snack that I know I've thrown stuff out before. Like you bite into it, it's really stale or like really soft or something.
Okay. So
I can't remember, but
yes.
I know I've done it at some point once in my life.
That's a great point.
So I don't know though, but yeah,
That's a great
it
point.
changes.
Is stale unhealthful?
I don't think so. I think stale is just like the quality and texture, how pleasant it is to eat. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Stale?
I mean, I'll eat stale popcorn. At the end of the movie, you still got popcorn. It's stale by then, and I'm still eating it.
Stale is not unhealthful.
Yeah.
Off color is not unhealthful. All right. When you've lost some flavor, that does not make it unsafe food, right? When we're talking storing for emergencies, grid down, SHTF, whatever these type of scenarios, we have to. It's that knowledge part that we talk about with capabilities, right? Gear, skills, and knowledge. And it's that knowledge part, understanding that during normal times, that food might be stale and lost its flavor, and you don't want to eat it. Okay, but having the knowledge that says I can eat that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I can. So my cookies are stale. The Oreos expired 6 years ago. Guess what?
Too bad.
If you're in SHTF and the apocalypse is happening, and you got the bag of Oreos,
well, and even if it's not the big
Twinkies, like whatever,
the big SHTF, you just think about the way inflation and supply lines are going, right? If the cost of a bag of Oreos, let's say a couple years
$25,
it quadruples, let's say, okay, which if you look at history, it's not unreasonable. You might say, you know what, listen, I just spent $25. I treated myself, got promoted at work, and so now instead of getting a nice steak dinner, now we buy Oreos because that's the way the world is.
Steak dinner,
or you find it in the pantry. You're like, man, jackpot, and you eat it, and it's like stale and barely sweet. You're not throwing it away,
no,
right? So
no,
yeah. It's important to know that because things like botulism and all these other diseases can kill you.
So what if,
even with medical care today, people still die.
what if somebody opened it, took a few out, and resealed it? Like Chips Ahoy, have the lid up on top, and you can seal it?
So it's just like with the number 10 cans of food, from what I understand. Right? The number 10, they're certified for like 25 years, whatever. Once you introduce oxygen, the game is up. That's it. You've got like a month or something, whatever it is.
That's important to understand. We're talking about packages that have never been opened. And just like the packaged food, you still have to actually inspect it. You give it the smell test, a little taste test if you have to.
If it feels really questionable, I would do the little, just like, how do you tell if, I don't know if it's an old wife, I don't know if it's true about berries, if they're poisonous, put them on your tongue.
Put them in your mouth,
That's a common. Yeah. But and heck, not even just the packaging, but think about this has affected my strategy for storing like dry goods, right? Beans, rice, pasta in the Mylar bags. I don't do the 5-gallon bags as often as I used to, because if I do 5 1-gallon bags versus 1 5-gallon bag, right, I can expose 1/5 of the amount of food to oxygen. And I can open up small quantities, and I'm keeping the rest sealed. And so that's something to consider.
Great segue. So we talk about the shelf life, but I also want to talk about storage.
Oh yeah.
How do you store the cans? How do you store the boxes? What type of environment? Okay, three things are just bad for for the cans and for the packages and all that. 3 things. Okay, sunlight, heat, and moisture. Okay, so control all those. Normal room temperature. I think the USDA says keep them under 72 for the cans and the boxes.
Oh, really?
Packages. I think they said keep them under 72. Out of the direct sunlight. Obviously, the cooler you keep them, the better they are.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, yeah. You put them. For most people, if you have a pantry, put them in your pantry. It covers everything.
Pantries are dark.
Yep. And
right,
as long as you're living in the house, it'll be.
And most homes have air conditioning.
Yeah, most people use them. So.
Or build a root cellar and. Something. Go get him. Go get him. My guard dog. He's standing here waiting for me to go get him. He alerted me. My job is to go get it, whatever it is. All right. So you've got to store things in the right environment to get that unending shelf life.
Yeah, you put it in your shed, and your shed gets to 140 because it's 100 degrees outside.
So remember we did a video on food?
Yeah.
That's like our #1 video.
Oh yeah, it is.
By far.
You know, it's funny too, real quick, because we did on water, and that one has not done nearly as well. So that's okay. Yeah. You think if you watch one, you watch the other.
So how many people pointed out that I needed to put some cover over the windows?
Black light. Yes.
Yep. We're building proper.
Probably like 25% of the comments are just that.
Yeah. Well, they're all locked up right now in air conditioned, no sunlight, and on this property, somewhere behind here, we are going to be building proper food storage facilities without the sunlight and climate controlled and all that. So we have listened to what you said, and the USDA agrees with what all you guys have told us. We're going to be implementing that. So sunlight, heat, and moisture are your enemies when you're storing cans and storing packages.
Yeah.
Control those. Make sure there's no damage.
Maximize the life.
Well, there is no life.
Oh,
it's unending life,
yeah.
But you still inspect. So I hope that this answers the questions that any of you may have on that date. That is a freshness date most of the time. So we're talking about prepackaged foods, your canning, and canned foods.
I can't remember if you mentioned dairy products.
I did not mention dairy products.
So that's kind of the caveat, right? They tend, although you can get canned dehydrated milk or whatever.
You can.
But I generally
evaporated milk and all that.
Yeah, evaporated.
And you can get powdered milk in the.
You can get powdered milk. Samson.
Hey, the dog. He's working too.
But yeah, so I think the dairy, some of that's a lot more sensitive for long-term life. Some of it.
Yeah. So we're not talking about your refrigerated items.
Yeah.
Even your fresh vegetables and all that. They all have a shelf life. They do. Yeah. We're talking about canned, frozen, packaged stuff that is sealed already or temperature. controlled by the frozen.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So what does that mean for us? Readiness-minded people, those self-reliant people. For the most part, we don't have to get rid of stuff. Now, if you watch our on food video, you will see that I've got a stock rotation system for my cans, because I can keep a can 10 years past the shelf life doesn't mean I want to.
I try to use mine too.
I want to try to keep things somewhat fresh, because that date is about freshness, and I'd rather be eating stuff that tastes good and has got proper coloring and all that, than eating stuff that's stale and expired and lost its flavor.
And it goes to the point too, store what you eat. So you should be able to integrate those canned foods into your meals. It should be stuff that you like to eat anyway. If you find yourself not wanting to eat some of your canned food, probably should be storing different food.
Yeah, and a number of people commented on the on food video that they don't like the can rotation because it takes up too much space. All right. My thoughts on that: I like to be very efficient. It is so easy. You know how it works.
I wonder. I'm thinking about it. It's stored in a different orientation, but in a similar manner. I bet you it's not that inefficient, or not that. I bet you the amount that you can get in there's not that different.
It can't.
I'm curious.
I bet you're right, but even if it is, it's not many cans.
Yeah.
But for the ease and the efficiency of putting new cans here, take old cans out here, set it and forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't have that, and we buy them and we kind of organize them in the pantry by date, and it's kind of like a left to right kind of deal.
And then you always got to keep shuffling stuff.
Yeah, we do. And sometimes we miss stuff, and I go, "Hey, the man's can expired 3 years ago." Oops.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I do need to get some.
Yeah. So if you want to watch that video, here's a link. Which way? Somewhere up here. Somewhere. Link. So we'll include a link to that video. And all right. So like I said, I hope we answered your questions. And if you do have other comments or
experience, I want to hear stories about eating stale, crappy food that was perfectly safe.
Yes,
someone's got to have stories. We've all.
Yes, tell me some stories where you ate some crappy food, and you lived and did not get sick. Yeah. And yeah, we've all eaten stuff. It's like, oh wow, that's horrible.
Shoot, MREs are a good example, because a lot of them will come with their own packaging, like M&Ms that are commercial packaging, and this thing expired 6 years ago. Eat it anyway.
Yeah, I've eaten some very, very expired M&Ms before, and they tasted horrible.
Yeah.
Flat and.
But they're M&Ms.
But I ate them.
You're in the field, they're still M&Ms.
I'm remembering specifically, I was like 10th grade. You know, I only had like a couple of bucks, and I went into the store and grabbed some, and these things should have been pulled off years ago off the shelf. And but it's not like there was extra money. I spent what I spent, so I ate them. Wondering the whole time. Yeah, I made it. All right.
I think about covers it,
Yeah, I think it does. All right. So that bit of information that I said I was going to share at the end, I almost forgot because we got distracted by the nice weather and all that. But I want to share with you an app that will help you preserve and protect your food. Food Saver is a very good app for your phone. Download that. That is a pro tip to help you manage your food effectively. Food Saver, free app on the phone. All right. So, thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.